I still remember the sound of the metal door closing behind my son. It was not loud to anyone else, maybe, but to me it was a thunder that cracked the air and split my heart in two. His hands were in cuffs. His eyes were dry. Mine were not. The guard nodded at me with pity, as if pity could warm a mother's bones. I stood there clutching the edge of my scarf, whispering the only words my mouth knew. Hasbi Allah. Allah is enough for me. People say time heals. They do not say how slow it moves when you are waiting for the truth to arrive. They do not say that sometimes truth is a storm that destroys what the lie could not. The day she lied, I thought she was saving her family's honor. I even thought she was saving my son from shame that did not belong to him. I believed her. I let her words enter my home like a guest. I gave them tea. I spread a small rug of trust under their feet. She was a girl I knew since she was little. I watched her run in our alley with ribbons in her hair, her mother shouting after her, "Maha, slow down." She grew into a young woman in front of my eyes. We lived 3 doors apart. We exchanged plates of rice and bowls of soup during Ramadan. We borrowed each other's sugar and salt. We prayed for each other. We called each other sister. How does a lie live in a home like that? Quietly, I learned. In simple sentences, in a tear, in a request that says, "For our honor, sister, please." I did not know it then, but that day I opened the door to a room that had no light. I stepped inside because I thought I was stepping into mercy. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought Allah would be pleased with my compassion. I told my son, "Say yes." He said yes because he trusts me. He said yes because he is my boy. And when the truth came, it did not just knock. It kicked the door open and took everything it wanted. If you are listening to me now, I am not here to blame. I am here to tell you how we survive our latent mistakes. I am here to show you my scars and the little light I found after. I am an old woman. My hands shake when I pour tea. My knees crack when I stand for prayer. But my voice is steady now. I have carried this story for many years. Tonight, I am ready to put it down. Please support Voices of Fatima by following the channel, liking this video, and sharing it with someone who needs hope. What would you have done in my place on the day she asked for a rushed marriage to protect honor? My name is Sumaya. I am 64 years old. I live in a small apartment that faces the mosque. In the morning, the sunlight slides across my living room like a patient hand, touching the old carpet, the chipped table, the wall where my husband's photo hangs. The photo is from when he was strong and handsome, with a smile that made people trust him. His name was Yusuf. He has been gone 10 years now. A heart can stop easily. A home does not stop so easily. It knocks on. It breathes. It remembers. I have 3 children. Omar is my eldest. He was born on a rainy Thursday, and he cried like he was already arguing with this world. He is quiet on the outside and stubborn inside. He fixes things. He took apart my old radio when he was 12 just to see how it worked. He put it back together, and it still worked, but not the same. Sometimes I think he did the same with his own heart. He opened it for someone and tried to put it back together. It still works, but not the same. Hannah is my middle child, my only daughter. She has hands made for teaching. She writes neatly. She speaks slowly when she is angry. She wants peace more than victory. When she laughs, the room relaxes. People say she looks like me. Maybe she does, but she is kinder. At least, that is what a mother hopes. Zaid is the youngest. He came after years of waiting. He arrived in the morning, when the Adhan for Fajr still hung in the air. He grew fast and thin, a boy who could never sit still. He is the one who reminds me to drink water, to take my medicine, to wear my thicker scarf when the wind is mean. Our days were simple. We lived close to our faith and close to each other. In the early morning, I would make tea with cardamom. The smell would touch each room and draw the children out of their beds. We ate bread with olive oil and salt. We listened to the birds argue on the balcony. We heard the old men at the mosque cough and clear their throats before dawn. When life hurt, we said, Astaghfirullah. When life was kind, we said, Alhamdulillah. When we were confused, we said, Allah knows best. Omar worked at a small garage 2 streets away. He would come home with oil on his fingers and a weary smile. Sometimes he brought back stories about cars that would not listen, and men who shouted, and women who paid with exact coins and said thank you twice. He saved a little money every month in a metal box that clicked when you shook it. He used to say, "One day, Mama, I will open my own place. A clean place. A place where people come and leave with a good feeling." I told him, "Insha'Allah, my son." Hannah taught at a small school near the park. She called her students "my little lions" because they were loud and brave. She wore a simple blue hijab and kept a bag full of markers and stickers. Sometimes she would sit at the table and make lesson plans, and I would bring her tea and say, "Teach them kindness first. Everything else will follow." She would kiss my hand and say, "Yes, Mama." Zaid studied in the afternoons and worked in the evenings at a small shop. He helped me carry groceries and complained about the price of tomatoes. He liked to sit with me at night and ask me questions from old times. "Mama, how did you and Baba meet? What was your first gift from him?" I would tell him about a silver bracelet that turned my wrist green, and how I loved it anyway, because love can make even cheap metal feel like gold. Our neighbor, 3 doors down, was Salma. She was my friend for more than 30 years. We met when we were both young wives. We baked bread together during the winter. We went to the hammam together. We watched each other's babies when the other needed to rest. Salma is a woman who cares very much about what people say. I do too, but she cares in a different way. For her, the world is a court, and every window is a judge. Salma has a daughter named Maha. I knew Maha as a child with scraped knees and a stubborn chin. She grew to be beautiful in the way that makes people smile at weddings and whisper after. She had eyes that held storms and a mouth that wanted to be kind but did not always know how. I watched her carry bags for her mother from the market. I watched her pray beside her mother in Ramadan nights, head bent low, whispering words I could not hear. In those moments I thought, this girl will be okay. She has God. I want you to know this before I tell you what happened. We were not bad people. We were ordinary. We tried. We failed. We tried again. We made our tea a little strong. We laughed at the wrong time sometimes. We borrowed money and paid it back late. We were not better than anyone. We were just trying to be decent in a world that is heavy. The first shadow came small. It came like a soft knock on the door one evening after Maghrib. The sky was the color of ash. The muezzin's voice had ended, and the street dogs were starting their nightly meeting. I opened the door and found Salma standing there, with her scarf slightly crooked and her eyes wet. She didn't greet me like usual. She just said, "Sumaya, I need to talk to you, sister. Please." I brought her in. I poured tea in 2 small glasses. She did not touch hers. She put her hands flat on her knees and stared at the old rug as if it could give her answers. Then she looked at me and said, "I know this will shock you, but I am asking you to remember our years, our friendship, our prayers together." I said, "What is it, Salma? Tell me." She took a breath, like someone who is about to jump. "Maha needs to marry very soon. Very, very soon. And I want her to marry Omar. My heart gave a small kick. Omar had never even sat with Maha in the same room for more than a minute. We were not in talks for any proposal. We had joked sometimes, of course. In our culture, we always joked. Maybe our children will become family. We said things like that to feel close. But we never made a plan. We never exchanged formal words. I felt the room tilt a little. I said, "Salma, this is sudden. Why? Did something happen?" She wiped her face with the edge of her scarf and closed her eyes. "Please, Sumaya, do not ask me to explain everything. I am a mother. You are a mother. You know how a small thing can turn into a very big shame. People talk. They see things. They imagine more. I am asking you to be my sister today. I am asking you to protect us from tongues." My mind was trying to catch up. Is Maha okay? She is fine. She is good. She is better if we move fast. I want a small nikah. Simple, no party. We can do it at the Imam's house. Next week. Omar is a good boy. Everyone knows that. He is clean, he prays, he works, he will take care of her. I promise you, Sumaya, I will not forget this kindness, in this life or the next. I stared at the tea glasses. A fly rested on the rim of one and then flew away. My husband's photo watched us from the wall. For a moment, I felt him in the room, the way I always do when a big decision is sitting between me and my guest. He was not a man to move quickly. He believed in thinking, then sleeping, then thinking again. I pressed my hands together and said, "Let me talk to Omar. Let me pray istikhara. We do not rush into marriage. Marriage is not a bandage we stick on a wound without cleaning it first." Salma's shoulders fell. She nodded. She stood up and touched my arm. "Pray, sister, pray, but please, do not take long." When she left, the room felt hollow. Hana came out of the kitchen with a towel in her hands. "What was that?" she asked. I told them all that evening. Omar listened, his eyes fixed on the edge of the carpet. Hana's mouth tightened in a way that told me she was worried. Zaid sat on the floor and put his head in his hands. "Mama," Omar said finally, "what do you think?" I wanted to say, "I think this is strange, and I think we should wait." But I also looked at my son, at his tired face after a long day at the garage, and I thought about the years of watching girls pass by as if they were clouds he could not catch. I thought of Salma's tears, of the way she said sister, of the way our small community can sharpen its knives so fast. I thought of Qadr, of the belief that Allah brings us to moments we do not expect to test our trust in Him. I thought of compassion. "I think," I said slowly, "we should pray. We should ask Allah to guide us. If there is goodness in this, He will make it easy. If not, He will put something in our way." That night, after the children slept, I spread my prayer rug. The house made its old noises. The fridge hummed. A car outside coughed and quieted. The street light across from our window flickered the way it does when it is tired. I prayed 2 rak'ahs of istikhara. I asked for ease if this was our path, and I asked for a wall if it was not. I told Allah I am a mother, and mothers sometimes think with their hearts first. I asked Him to forgive me if my heart was too heavy to think well. In the morning, the sky was clear and pale. I made tea and found Omar already awake, sitting at the table with his Bible of Emmanuel, not a real Bible, of course, but the thick car manual he treated with respect as if it held the answers to life. He looked at me, and I looked at him. Sometimes you just know. Sometimes your son's jaw is set in a way that tells you he has already chosen. "Mama," he said, "I want to help them. If this will save them from shame, if this will protect a sister's name, I can do it. We can do it. We are not rich, but we are not cowards. Do you accept her? I asked. I accept that Allah is watching, he said. I accept that maybe this is written for me. I took his hands in mine. His skin was rough from work, but his palms were warm. If we do this, Omar, we do it with dignity. We do it with respect. We do not let anyone step on us. We do it for Allah, not for people. I know, Mama. Hana did not look happy. She came to me later in the kitchen and said, Mama, why so fast? This does not feel right. What is the hurry? If they are hiding a problem, it will not disappear after the nikah. It will exist still. Marriage is not a cover. It is a mirror. I kissed her forehead. You speak like a teacher, I said. I hear you. But sometimes we do a good deed and we trust Allah with the rest. Zaid put his head in the fridge, then stood up and leaned against the door. If Omar is okay, I am okay, he said, trying to be a good brother. But his eyes were not sure. A week later, we stood in the small sitting room of the Imam. It smelled like old books and rosewater. The Imam's wife had placed a plate of dates on the table. The fan turned slowly overhead, making a soft clicking sound, like a clock that forgot its rhythm. Maha and Salma sat on one side, dressed simply. Maha's scarf framed her face. She did not meet my eyes. I thought she was shy. I thought she was scared. I did not know what knowledge she carried in her chest like a stone. The Imam asked Omar if he accepted. He said, I accept. His voice did not shake. The Imam asked Maha if she accepted. She nodded, then said softly, I accept. The words fell into the room like small stones into a well. Nobody heard the splash. It would come later. We ate dates, we drank tea, we said Alhamdulillah. Salma kissed my cheeks again and again. You saved us, she whispered. Allah will save you one day. I felt my eyes sting. I wanted to believe her blessing would be a shield for my son. I wanted to believe we had done a good thing. We did not make a party. We did not hang lights. We did not sing. We went home, and I opened the window to let the air in. The sun was kind that day. Omar took a small suitcase to his old room. Maha sat at the edge of the bed, like a guest who lost her way. I brought them tea on a tray and a plate of almonds and raisins. I told them, Allah bless this room. Allah make your hearts soft for each other. Allah protect you from the evil eye and from the evil of whispers. That first night was quiet, too quiet. I went to bed with a weight on my chest that felt like a child who would not move. I told myself this is normal. I told myself all new marriages are awkward. I told myself to breathe. During the next days, I watched Maha the way a mother watches. She woke late, she ate little. She kept her hand on her belly sometimes, as if to soothe a pain or calm a bird. She cried in the bathroom once, very quietly, the kind of crying women do when they do not want to wake the house. I stood outside the door with my hand on the wood and did not knock. I told myself, respect her privacy. Let her adjust. Salma visited twice, each time bringing food and unfinished sentences. She is tired, she said. She is a little weak these days. I asked if she wanted a doctor. No, no, Salma said. Just rest, just rest. Hana frowned. Zaid watched, his mouth a firm line. Omar said nothing. He went to work. He came home. He left his shoes by the door. He sat with Maha on the balcony and told her about carburetors and stubborn engines. He told her about the old man who paid with coins and then offered a small prayer for him as a tip. Maha listened with a face that looked like it was holding its breath. One evening, as I poured tea, I heard them in the bedroom. Omar's voice was gentle. You can tell me anything, he said. We are married. We are not strangers anymore. Maha's reply was a whisper. I am trying. I am trying to be a good wife. Please be patient with me. Patience. Sabr. Such a beautiful word. It feels smooth on the tongue, like a polished stone. But it is heavy to carry. I prayed for them. I asked Allah to put friendship between them. I asked Allah to make this marriage the cure for whatever wound they were hiding. A few days later, as the afternoon sun made patterns on our carpet, Maha came to me in the kitchen. She stood for a moment without speaking, then she held my hand. Her fingers were cold. She said, "Mama," and that word slipped into me like a gift and a warning. "Mama, please forgive me. I am not ready to be a wife in every way. I need time. I will explain when I can." I put my other hand on top of hers. "You do not owe me a performance of happiness," I told her. "You owe Allah honesty, and you owe my son respect. If you give him that, we can wait for the rest." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "You are kind," she said. "I do not deserve it." "Don't say that," I said. "We are all beggars at Allah's door." At night, the house was quiet, but my mind was not. I thought of Salma's rushed request. I thought of Maha's hand on her belly. I thought of the way the neighbors had peered out their windows the day of the nikah, like cats. I thought of my husband's photo looking at me as if to ask, "Did you think twice? Did you act with wisdom, Sumaya?" I said to his photo, "I am trying. We will see." 3 weeks passed. Then the second knock came. This time, it was not a soft knock. It was urgent. It was the kind of knock that makes your heart run to the door before your body does. I opened it to find Salma again, pale as chalk, shaking. "Sumaya," she said, her voice a broken whisper. "Please come. Please. I need you. Maha she is not well." I grabbed my scarf and called Omar. We rushed to Salma's house. In her small living room, Maha sat on the couch, face wet, hands clutching her stomach. An old auntie rubbed her back and recited Ayat al-Kursi. Salma stood in the doorway, breathing fast. "What happened?" I asked. "Just pain," Salma said, not meeting my eyes. "It comes and goes." Omar went to Maha and knelt on the floor. "Do you need a doctor?" he asked. Maha shook her head, then nodded, then hid her face in her hands. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I am so sorry." I felt the air leave the room for a moment. The auntie kept reciting. Salma finally looked at me and opened her mouth, but the words did not come. I wanted to say it, whatever it is, and let it be. But I also wanted to close the door of this moment, to keep it outside. We took Maha to the clinic. The doctor, a woman with a tired face and kind eyes, examined her. She spoke to me and Salma in a low voice in the hallway. "She needs rest," she said. "She is under stress. She is early, very early." "Early what?" I asked, though my heart already knew. "Pregnant," the doctor said gently. My hand went to the wall to hold myself up. The wall was cool. Salma's face twisted. Maha sat on the bed, staring at her hands. Omar stood very still, like a statue. The doctor went on, speaking with care. "It happens. Sometimes women do not know. Right away, stress can confuse the body. She needs calm. She needs support." I walked back into the room and sat next to Maha. I took her hand. It was trembling. "You are pregnant," I said softly. She nodded. She did not look at me. I looked at Omar. He looked at the floor. His ears were red. His jaw was tight. On the way home, no one spoke. The car made small sounds. Outside, people walked like the world was normal. Inside, the world had bent. When we reached our building, Omar carried the bags of medicine and vitamins the doctor had given. Maha went straight to their room. I stood in the doorway of the living room and watched the dust in the sunlight, as if dust could teach me something. That night, I lay awake and listened to the sounds of our apartment. The neighbor above us walked across their floor. A baby cried 2 doors down and then was quiet. A motorbike roared and then faded far away. I thought of Kader again. I thought of tests. I thought of how a lie can sit for a while like a cat in the sun and then suddenly jump. I did not know everything yet. I did not know the truth would arrive with claws. I did not know the next months would pull us through shame, anger, courtrooms, and a hospital corridor with a metal door. I only knew 2 things. 1, a child was coming. 2, I needed to be stronger than my fear. So I got up before dawn, before the sky had decided what color to be. I made wudu. I stood on my thin prayer rug. I said Bismillah, and in the quiet of that small hour, with the fridge humming and the world asleep, I asked Allah to hold my family in His hand. I asked Him to make my tongue gentle, my heart steady, and my eyes blind to gossip. I asked Him to forgive what I could not see yet. I asked Him to make me a mother who protects without lying, and a believer who bends without breaking. I did not know that the truth was already on its way to our door. I did not know it had wheels and hands and a name, but Allah knew, and that was enough for that one small morning to let me breathe. The days after the clinic felt heavy. I moved slower in my own kitchen. The kettle took too long to boil. The rug under my feet felt thicker. I kept looking at Omar and Maha and trying to see a future that did not exist yet. I told myself to think good, to speak good, to be quiet when I had no good words. Maha's mornings were late. She took small steps like the ground hurt. She held her belly sometimes and closed her eyes like she was speaking to someone inside. Omar tried to be extra kind. He carried the laundry basket before she even reached for it. He brought her the softer pillow. He learned how to make her tea the way she liked it, with too much sugar and a little milk. He said to her, "Eat a little, please, for you, for the baby." She tried. Hannah watched everything with a careful face. She helped where she could, but I could feel her questions walking around the house like hungry cats. Zaid kept quiet and brought home silly snacks to make Maha smile. He tried to cheer Omar up with jokes, but Omar was not in the room where jokes could live. He was in a smaller room inside himself. We went to the doctor again. It was a different doctor this time, a younger woman with a scarf the color of spring leaves. She smiled and pointed to the screen, showing us a small, beating heart. Maha cried. Omar smiled, but it was the kind of smile a man wears for others. The doctor measured and wrote. She told us a date. The date was sooner than marriage math could explain. On the way home, the sky was low and gray. I held the paper with the date like it might cut me. Omar drove without speaking. At a red light, he looked straight ahead and said, very softly, "Mama, did you see?" "Yes," I said. "The months," he said. "I know," I said. He nodded once, like a man who has heard a verdict he expected. We did not talk more. We went home. I put the paper in a drawer with the spoons, as if it were something to be used one day, and then washed and put away. That evening, after dinner, I went to see Salma. She opened the door with her eyebrows high, as if she did not expect me. Her living room smelled like lemon cleaner and worry. I sat. She sat. We did not touch our tea. "Salma," I said, "I need the truth. Is this child from before?" Her eyes filled and emptied. She looked at the ceiling, then at her hands. She pulled at a loose thread on her sleeve like it was the problem, and if she broke it, the whole thing would go away. "Sister," she said, "I am ashamed. I am sorry. I am a mother." "Be a mother who tells the truth," I said. She took a deep breath. Yes, she said. Before. A mistake. A bad man. He promised marriage, and then he delayed, and delayed. He said he needed time to find work. She believed him. I told her to end it. She ended it. Then she found out what was already growing inside. I did not know what to do. You know this street, you know these eyes. I came to you. Who is he? I asked. She pressed her lips together. It does not matter. He is gone. Gone where? I said. Gone to another city? Another girl? Is he a ghost now? He has a name. Salma. He has a family. He has a face. She looked at the door as if someone stood behind it listening. His name is Rafi, she said finally. He is from the other side of the market. His mother sells scarves. He is not serious. He wanted fun. He wanted to feel like a man. He did not want to carry a life. I closed my eyes for a second. I saw Maha's small face, the ribbon in her hair when she was 10, the way she ran. I saw Omar with oil on his hands, saving coins in a box. You should have told me, I said. I told you as much as I could, she whispered. I told you we needed help. I told you we needed protection. You told me to protect honor, I said. But you did not protect my son. She started crying. Survive the shame. My brothers will kill me with their eyes if they find out. I will not survive it. I stood up. My knees felt old. I will not shout, I said. I will not throw stones in the street, but I will not lie to my son. I will speak to him. She nodded, as if she had expected it. He is a good man, she said, like a prayer. Maybe he will forgive us. That night, after I prayed Isha, I went to Omar's room. He was sitting on the floor with his back against the bed. The room smelled like soap and engine oil. A small book about new babies lay face down on the rug. He did not look at me when I entered. He said, You spoke to her. Yes, I said, and sat beside him, my old bones protesting. She told me, the father is a man named Rafi. He is not in the picture. He left. She is afraid. She is drowning in fear. He was quiet for a long time. I let the silence sit with us like a third person. Then he said, And Maha? She is your wife. I said. She is inside this house. She is carrying a child who did not choose the way it came. She is also drowning. He rubbed his face with both hands. Mama, I am not a hero, he said. I am just a man. My stomach hurts when I think about this. My chest burns. But when I hear that little heart at the clinic, something in me goes soft. I want to protect. I want to be kind. I want to be better than my pain. I put my hand on his head, like when he was little. You are better than your pain, I said. He took a deep breath. I will not leave her, Mama. Not now. Not while she is carrying. Not while she is scared. But I need truth from her. I cannot live with silence, like a wall between us. The next day, Omar and Maha sat on the balcony. I stayed in the kitchen and pretended to wash dishes I had already washed. I heard their voices, low. I heard a long break with no words. I heard a soft sound like something breaking that was not a glass. Later, Maha came to me, with her eyes swollen. She kissed my hand and said, I told him. He was kind. He was hurt. He did not shout. I do not deserve that kindness. None of us deserve the best from others, I said. But sometimes Allah sends it anyway. Life became a strange mix of normal and not. We cooked, we cleaned, Omar went to work. Maha napped and smiled a little more some days. Hana kept her distance from Salma and then would feel sorry and bring soup. Zaid started staying out a little later, his attempts at being a man growing legs. He wanted to protect his brother in the way young men think protection looks like. We told no one outside the house. This was our test. this was our quiet mountain. But secrets are like birds. They get out through small openings. One afternoon, Zaid came home with his jaw set tight. He held his phone in his hand like a stone. "What is it?" I asked. He glanced toward Maha's room and then pulled me to the kitchen. He showed me a message thread. The name at the top was Rafi. "Why do you have this?" I asked. "He came to my shop," Zaid said, his voice low and hot. He smiled like a fox and said he wanted to talk like men. He asked if Omar knew. He said he wanted to see his child. I told him to leave. He sent these texts after. Look, the messages were ugly. The kind of words that make a mother want to wash the whole world with soap. I felt my face heat. "Did you tell Omar?" I asked. Zaid shook his head. I did not want to add fire to his chest. He is already burning. "Do not do anything stupid," I said. "Please." He looked at me with the stubborn eyes he was born with. "I am not a fool, Mama, but I am not a coward." That evening, I told Omar myself. He read the messages and closed his eyes. He breathed slowly like a man counting his breaths to stay calm. "I will not answer," he said. "He wants a fight. I will not give him my hands. If he wants to speak, he can speak with his generations, Mother. He can speak with Salma. He cannot speak to my little brother like this, ever." The next week, Rafi came to the garage. Omar told me later. He stood outside like a king with no kingdom, his hands in his pockets, his hair pushed back with too much oil. He said, "Brother, I just want to see the baby when it comes." "I have rights," Omar told him. "You had duties, you left. This is a house of peace. Do not bring your smoke here." Rafi laughed and put his hand on Omar's shoulder. Omar removed it. The other men at the garage watched with round eyes. Rafi left with a threat wrapped in a smile. At night, I started to sleep less and pray more. The little hours felt safer than the day. In those hours, the world is quiet and Allah listens with a generosity we do not deserve. I asked for a path through this that did not crush us. I asked for protection from anger. I asked that my tongue not become sharp and my hands not become fists. Hana began to pull away from Salma. She once crossed the street to avoid her. Later, she cried in our kitchen and said, "I am not proud, Mama. I am just tired." Why did she drag us into their mess? Why did she not tell us the truth from the beginning? Omar is not a rag you use to clean your mistakes. I held Hana and let her cry like the child she had been. "We will answer for what we did, not what they did," I said. "Do not let hate make a nest in your chest. There is no room for two tenants there, hate and Allah." Maha heard some of these things. She heard Hana's voice in the hallway. She heard Zaid's footsteps louder than before. She heard the silence between her and Omar when he could not find words that did not hurt. She came to me often, crying, saying, "I want to make it right. I want to do good now. I cannot change what I did. I can only tell the truth." "Then tell it," I said. "Tell it and live with it. That is enough." Salma, on the other hand, grew harder. I saw it in her mouth. I saw it in the way she held her purse close, as if truth might steal coins from it. She came less. When she came, she brought food, but not warmth. She kept saying, "Almost there, a little more. After the baby, everything will be clearer." I did not know what she meant. I did not know she was making plans with fear as her advisor. One afternoon near the end of the 7th month, the sky broke open with rain. The alley was a river for a while. Maha started having pain, real pain. She grabbed the edge of the table and bent like the pain was a wave and she was just a small tree. We took her to the hospital. The halls smelled like bleach and tired. A nurse put a band around her belly. The machine made a soft sound like a heart that learned to hum. The doctor said, "It is early, but sometimes early babies are strong. We will try to keep the baby longer. If we cannot, we will care well." Salma arrived with a scarf tied too tight and fear in her eyes. She stood at the end of the bed and did not touch her daughter. I touched Maha's hair and whispered, "You are not alone." Omar stood to one side, hands clasped, prayer in his throat. The rain hit the window like 1,000 small hands. We did not go home that night. The next morning, the contractions got stronger. The nurses moved quickly. They took Maha behind a curtain. They asked Omar to wait. He stared at the floor. He murmured salawat. He counted the tiles. I sat in a hard plastic chair and remembered my own births, how the world stops and only two things are alive, pain and hope. Salma went outside to make a call. I did not know to whom. She came back with her mouth set and her eyes on the door. I felt a cold thing walk up my spine. I asked her, "Who did you call?" She said, "My cousin. He will bring my brother. We need family." "Not him," I said. "Not them." "What should I do, Sumaya?" she hissed. "Sit here alone and swallow my fear? I need men on my side, in case." "In case of what?" I asked. She did not answer. Maha gave birth just after Dur. The baby cried, a high, thin sound like a bird. The nurse smiled and said, "A boy." Omar covered his face with both hands and whispered, "Allahu Akbar." I felt tears and joy and sorrow mix until I could not tell which was which. They took the baby to a warm bed under a light. He was small but fierce. He opened his mouth and shouted at this life like a little lion. Then the door opened. Rafi came in with his hair pushed back and a cheap leather jacket. He had two men with him, one large and one tall. Behind them came Salma's brother, Hamid, a man with angry eyebrows and a ring on every finger. For a moment, the room was a storm. The nurse raised her hand. "Only one person," she said. No one listened. The doctor's face tightened. I stood up. Omar stood up. The baby cried louder. Rafi pointed. "My son," he said, as if the words could be a key. Omar stepped between him and the baby. "This is a hospital," Omar said. "Respect the people here. Respect the women giving birth in the next beds." Hamid pushed past me. He pointed a heavy finger at Omar. "You forced this marriage," he spat. "You trapped my niece. You wanted to hide your own shame. Now you will step aside." My mouth dropped open. "What are you saying?" I asked. "You know nothing." Salma stood at the back, her hand over her mouth, eyes wild. For a second, our eyes met. I tried to read her as I had read her for 30 years. I did not see my friend. I saw a woman standing on a cliff, wind pushing, ready to jump or push someone else. The nurse called security. 2 guards came. One spoke calmly, trying to peel the men off the scene. Rafi kept moving forward, small steps like a thief. Omar lifted his hand, palm out. "Stop," he said. Rafi slapped his hand away and stepped closer to the baby. Something in Omar snapped. He pushed Rafi back, hard. Rafi hit the side of a metal trolley and fell. The tray clanged. Instruments rattled. The baby cried so loud it cut my heart. The guards grabbed both men. The doctor shouted. The room was chaos. And then Salma did the thing I still cannot believe. She pointed at Omar with a shaking finger and said, loud enough for the whole ward to hear, "He has been threatening us. He hit Maha before. He said he would take the baby. He is dangerous." I felt the air leave my lungs. "Salma," I cried, "Astaghfirullah, do not lie now. Not now. Maha, lying on the bed, pale and sweaty, closed her eyes as if she could erase the sound by not seeing it. Mama, she whispered, but no one heard her whisper. Hamid grabbed the moment and added his own fire. Officer! He shouted to the guard, who was not an officer but did not correct him. We will file a complaint. Today. The guards pulled Omar aside. They asked questions with fast mouths and small patience. Rafi held his side and groaned like a man stabbed. He was fine. I could see he was fine. But pain can act too. One guard took Omar's wrist and clicked a metal cuff around it. The sound was small and sounded like thunder to me. Please, I said. He did nothing. He defended the baby. He defended the doctor. Ask them. The nurse tried to help. He was protecting the patient, she said. The other man pushed past us, but the guard had already decided. He looked at the crying women and the big man with rings and the young man on the floor holding his side. He took Omar by the arm, and they walked out. I followed like a shadow with a scarf. In the hallway, the light was too bright. The floor was too clean. My chest hurt. The guard spoke into a radio. Rafi's tall friend shouted something about witnesses. Hamid called someone on his phone. The baby's cry faded behind the door. I turned to Salma. You know you are lying, I said. You know Allah hears you over all this noise. He hears you. She looked at me with eyes that asked for mercy and gave none. I am protecting my child, she said. And my grandson, Omar, will suffocate her with his fake kindness. He will make her pay every day with small words. Rafi will marry her. We will make it right. You think a wedding can wash blood? I said. You think a paper can turn a coward into a father? You will break everything, she said. It is already broken. They took Omar to the police station. I went too. I sat on a hard bench with paint coming off it. The smells were cigarette smoke, old coffee, and fear. A man behind a desk took notes with a pen that squeaked. Another man laughed at a joke someone told in the back room. The world should have stopped. It did not stop. It kept rolling forward like a cart that lost its wheel. An officer finally called me. He asked questions like he was reading from a list. Name, relation, address, I answered. He asked if my son was violent at home. I said no. He asked if we had problems with the other family. I said we had problems with fear and truth. He did not write that down. He asked if I could bring someone to stand for Omar, to sign that he would come to court when called. I called Hana's friend's husband, who had a cousin with a small office near the courthouse. He came after an hour and signed papers with a bored hand. They did not let Omar out. They said the complaint was strong. They said the doctor had to write a report. They said Rafi claimed pain and would go to the hospital for a check. They said many things. The words moved around me like flies. None of them touched me. At one point, they let me see my son for a minute. He stood behind a low counter. His hands were behind him. His face was calm and pale. He looked at me and smiled a little. The smile he gives when he wants me to know he is not afraid. Mama, he said, go home. Stay with Maha and the baby. Do not leave them to those men. My mouth was dry. I told you to say yes to the marriage, I said. I told you. I am sorry. He shook his head. Do not put this on yourself, Allah writes. We walk. A guard touched his arm. He nodded at me. Hasbi Allah, he said, and they led him away. The metal door closed. It made a sound like the end of something. My heart cracked quietly inside my chest where no one could see. I walked out into the afternoon. The sun was bright and rude. The city went on with its shops and bus horns and children spilling out of school like marbles. I stood on the sidewalk and felt like a ghost. Then I breathed. I remembered I had a daughter in a hospital bed and a new life in a plastic box under a warm light. I went back. In the ward, Maha lay pale and quiet. The baby had tubes and a hat and a number above his bed. The nurse told me he was stable, alhamdulillah. Salma sat in a chair, small and hard. She did not look up. Hamid had gone to do things, which means hurt more of our future with his rough hands. I sat next to Maha and held her fingers. They were cold and light. She opened her eyes. "Where is Omar?" she whispered. "At the station," I said. Tears filled her eyes. They went out the corners like small rivers. "I told them not to do that," she said. "I told my mother not to say those words. I told her. I begged her. She said she is saving me. She said this is what honor looks like. I do not know what honor is anymore, Mama. It feels like a knife." I brushed her hair back. "Sometimes people call fear by the name of honor," I said. "Sometimes people call control by the name of love. It confuses the soul." She looked at the baby. The little chest rose and fell like a bird sleeping. She whispered, "He did not ask to be born into this mess. No child does," I said. "But Allah loves him. Allah will not waste him." 2 days later, we had our first time in a courtroom. It was not like on the television. It was small and ordinary. The paint peeled. The fans were loud. The judge wore simple clothes and looked like a tired uncle. People filed in and out like it was a market day. Papers moved faster than hearts. The charges for Omar were assault, disturbance at a hospital, threats. Rafi came with a bandage around his side like a badge. Salma and Hamid stood with him. Maha came with me, walking slowly, her belly already a memory but her body still in its shadow. The baby stayed at the hospital. Our lawyer was a man with a nice tie and a voice that curled around words. He said there was no proof of threats. He said the doctor and the nurse wrote that Omar was trying to keep the peace. He said the security camera showed Rafi pushing. The judge listened with a face that was a wall. He said we would come back in 2 weeks. Omar stayed in holding. I brought him food each day. I brought him clean clothes. I brought him my eyes that said, "I am not leaving you." In the alley, women began to talk with their hands close to their mouths. "Did you hear? Who is the father anyway? That boy was too good to be true. That girl, that girl." I walked with my head up and said salam to everyone. My mother taught me long ago. You do not hide in your house because people talk. People talk whether you hide or not, so you might as well walk. Rafi sent a message through someone. He said if Omar divorced Maha, he would think about removing the complaint. He said he would marry Maha and put his name on the baby. He said a lot. The message reached my ears. My heart went cold. The audacity of a man who runs to save his name, but not the life he created. I told the messenger, "Tell him to think about Allah. Tell him we will do what is right, not what is easy." Omar finally sent a message from holding. It came through a guard with a kind eye. He said, "Mama, do not fight with fire. Bring me the Quran. Bring me patience. Do not let Zaid do anything that will become a second case." I went home and took Zaid's keys. He stared at me like a lion in a cage. "I will not sit here and watch them spit on us," he said. "You will sit," I said. "You will. If you love your brother more than your anger, you will sit." Hana went to the hospital every day. She whispered to the baby that his uncle is good and brave. She read Surah Maryam to him. She became gentle with Maha again. She brought her socks and juice and tried to smooth her hair like a mother. I watched my daughter return to mercy. It softened my own stones. Salma became a stranger in our hallway. She said hello and looked away. I wondered how a woman could turn her face from a friend of 30 years. I wondered if she could sleep at night. Maybe she slept fine. Maybe our hearts are all made different. The day after our first court, Maha confessed the rest. We were in the hospital, a quiet hour between nurses. The baby breathed small and steady. Maha said, "Rafi came to me last week before the birth. He told me, he will only marry me if I help him teach Omar a lesson. He asked me to say, 'Omar, hit me.' I refused. My mother, she told him she would help. She thinks she is saving me from a life under a good man who would never let me forget. She thinks Rafi will make it normal. Mama, I am so sorry. I felt so many things at once, I thought I would pass out. Habibti, I said, do not carry all sins. You did your share, your mother did hers, Rafi did his. Allah will judge each. You can only choose what you do next." "I want to tell the truth in court," she said. "Then do it," I said. "But be ready for the wind. It will blow hard." 2 days before the next court date, someone threw a rock at our window at midnight. It broke and fell, the pieces sounding like small bells. Zaid jumped up. He ran to the balcony. He saw 2 shapes running. He swore under his breath. I pulled him back. My hands shook. We slept in the living room that night, like a family in a station, waiting for a train that never came. On the morning of court, Hana held my hand. We went in together. Salma and Hamid were already inside. Rafi sat in the front row, like a man watching his own movie. Omar came out from the side with a guard. He looked thinner. He looked older. He also looked calm in a way that made me want to cry. The judge called the case. The lawyer spoke. The doctor wrote a new report, saying Omar did not threaten anyone. The security guard confirmed Omar tried to keep Rafi from the baby for safety. And then the judge asked if anyone else wanted to speak. Maha stood. Her legs trembled. She spoke softly, but the room was quiet. "Your Honor," she said, "I want to tell the truth. This marriage was rushed because I was already with child. Omar knew before the birth. He did not hit me. He did not threaten me. He has only shown me patience. The man who says he is the father left me. He only returned to shout and push in the hospital. I do not want a case against Omar. I want peace." The room stirred. The judge lifted his hand. Salma covered her face. Hamid stood up as if pushed by a spring. Rafi's mouth opened and closed like a fish. The judge asked, "Why did you file the complaint then?" Salma stood, pulled by pride, and said, "I filed it. I did it to protect my daughter. I did it so this man would let her go." The judge looked at her in a long way, like a teacher looking at a child who keeps breaking the same thing. He turned to the clerk. He spoke with words I do not remember now because my heart was beating in my ears. He dismissed the charge of threats. He reduced the assault charge to a fine. He said Omar could go home while paperwork moved. Rafi shouted something. The guard told him to sit. I breathed again after many days. Omar came to me after with a small smile and tired eyes. He kissed my head. "Alhamdulillah," he said. Then he went to Maha. He put his hand on the railing of her chair and said, "I will not force you. The decision now is yours. Do you want this marriage?" She looked at the floor. She was silent. Silence can be an answer. Omar nodded. "We will speak later. Heal now." We went home. The window was still broken. The tape on the glass fluttered in the small wind. Zaid hugged Omar until Omar laughed and said he could not breathe. Hana made soup and burned it, and we ate it anyway with thanks. For a few hours, it felt like we were a family again with a headache, but the story was not done with us. That night, Hamid called. He said there would be a meeting at Salma's house the next evening. Family only. He invited Omar and me. He said, "We will fix this with our hands." I knew what he meant. He meant pressure. He meant a decision made under heavy breath. I told Omar, "We will go. We will hear. We will leave if they try to make shirk of their will, to make it a god." Salma's living room was too clean. It smelled like lemon and new curtains. The table had a bowl of fruit nobody touched. Hamid sat like a judge. Rafi sat on the edge of a chair like a fox waiting for the chicken to come closer. Salma had a tissue in her hand that she twisted until it looked like a small rope. Maha sat next to her mother, eyes on her lap. Omar sat tall, hands on his knees. I sat by the window and asked Allah to sit in the chair next to me. Hamid cleared his throat. "We will speak plain," he said. "My niece made a mistake. Your son married her to save our face. We thank him. Now the truth is out. The baby is from Rafi. Rafi will marry Maha. Your son will divorce her. We will all move on." I looked at Omar. His face did not move. He said, "I told Maha I would not force anything. If she wants divorce, I will give it. But there is one condition. We will not rewrite history. We will not lie about me. We will not call my kindness a crime. We will not paint the Leng hospital fight as something else. We will not let this child be raised on lies." Rafi snorted. "You want the child to call you Abu?" he said. "You want my blood to call another man father?" Omar looked at him with a calm I know cost him blood. "I want the child to call honesty by its name," he said. "If you marry her, you will be a father. Be one, be a good one, not a loud one, not a hand with nothing behind it." Salma looked at me. "Sister," she said, "tell your son to sign the papers quickly. The baby cannot have two names in the street. People will count months. People will do math with their mouths." I held my hands in my lap to keep them from shaking. "Salma," I said, "I will not tell my son what to do with his marriage. He will do what he thinks Allah wants. But I will tell you this. The damage came not from the child. It came from the lie. The lie went into the house and pushed furniture over. The lie burned the curtains. The lie broke dishes. Now you want to bring another lie to fix the first one. Lies do not repair. They only multiply." She looked away. Hamid clapped his hands softly as if calling an invisible waiter. "Enough speeches," he said. He pulled out papers from a folder and put them on the table. "Here," he said, "divorce papers. Sign." Omar did not touch them. He turned to Maha. "Do you want this?" he asked. He did not look at Hamid. He did not look at Rafi. He looked only at the woman who had become the center of this storm. Maha looked at me. Her eyes were 2 cups full of water. I did not nod. I did not shake my head. I kept my face like the sky when it has decided to be still. She looked at Rafi. He smiled with his teeth. She looked at her mother. Salma bit her lip until it turned white. Maha looked at Omar. He lifted his eyebrows a little like a man, saying, "I will not fall apart if you say yes," she whispered. "Yes. I want it." Omar nodded. He took the pen. He signed with a hand that did not shake. He passed the paper to me. I looked at the black line on the paper and felt the weight of it in my chest. I signed where a witness signs. My name looked small and old next to the black letters. Hamid grabbed the paper like a man at a market. He smiled as if he had bought something cheap. Rafi stood up and said, "Good. We will go to the imam tomorrow. We will fix the rest." I stood. My knees hurt. My heart hurt more. I turned to Salma. "May Allah make this right for your daughter," I said. "May He forgive us all." I touched Maha's shoulder. "If you need a mother at night, when the baby will not sleep, and your husband is out, call me. If you need a pot, If you need an ear, I am here. Divorce does not make you an orphan. We left. The night air felt like a hand on my face. Omar walked beside me, his steps steady, as if he could feel the ground better now that he had put the paper down. Are you okay? I asked. No, he said, but I am not lost. 2 days later, Rafi and Maha went to the imam. They had a small nikah. Salma called Hana to tell her after it happened, not before. Hana cried in the bathroom for a long time and then came out and cooked rice anyway. Zaid put on his jacket and went out for hours. He came back with red eyes and said nothing. I went to the hospital to see the baby. He was stronger. He held my finger with his tiny hand like a man asking you not to leave. Rafi was not there. Salma was asleep in a chair. Maha smiled at me, a small, tired smile. His name is Yasin, she said. We chose it together. I kissed his head. Assalamu alayka, little Yasin, I whispered. Welcome to the world. May it be kinder than this room. For a few days, things were quiet, like a house after guests leave. We started to pick up broken plates. We started to breathe in the new shape of our life. Omar wanted to go back to work. He oiled his tools. He breathed the smell of the garage. He tried to stand like a tree again. Then the next storm came, the one that still makes my skin cold when I think of it. It was a Sunday afternoon. The sun was soft. Kids played football in the alley. A woman watered her plants with a plastic jug, the water falling like a thin silver curtain. Omar was walking home from the garage, his hands empty, his pockets also empty because he had given most of his savings to pay the lawyer and small fees that grow into big ones when your name is in papers. A car pulled up, a cheap one with a loud engine. Rafi jumped out with 2 men. He shouted, I want to see my son. You cannot keep me away. I am his father. As if the whole world was a judge. Omar put up his hands. Go to the house where your wife is, he said. Do not shout in the street. There are children. Neighbors looked out of windows. One of Rafi's men pushed Omar. Omar stepped back. The man pushed again. The second man circled to Omar's side. Zaid ran from the shop. He threw himself between them, small and brave. He got pushed too. He fell. His arm hit the pavement hard. He cried out like he did when he was 7 and fell from his bicycle. My heart heard it from 2 streets away. I rushed out of our door like the house spit me out. I reached them as fists moved like dumb words. Omar tried not to hit. He held the pushing hands. He tried to hold them away. Rafi swung. His knuckles hit Omar's cheek. Blood came. A neighbor shouted. Someone blew a whistle. Somewhere, a siren started, small and then growing. It ended like these things end. Men with uniforms and fast steps, questions with sharp edges. Rafi shouting louder. His friends telling their story 3 times in 3 different ways. Hamid appearing from nowhere like a bad smell. Omar being the calmer man, and therefore the man people think is hiding something. They took them to the station again. Again the hard bench. Again the papers. Again the small noises of a place where other people's misery is the day job. This time, the officer said, Enough. He said, You people will settle this in court. He said, Until then, a restraining order. He pointed to Omar. You cannot go to the hospital. You cannot go near the child. You cannot go near their building. My heart fell. He never went except to help, I said. The officer looked at me with a tired face. I do not make justice, he said. I make order. Rafi smiled at me, as if he had won a game. I wanted to throw water on that smile and watch it melt. I held myself. I walked away. In the alley, I leaned against a wall and looked up at the sky like a woman searching for a missing thing. Ya Allah, I said. I do not ask you to be on my side. I ask you to be on the side of truth. Make truth strong. Make us strong enough for it. 2 weeks later, we were back in court. This time the case was about the alley fight. The judge looked at the papers, at the men, at the lawyer, at the nurse, report from the hospital birth, at the restraining order, at the testimonies. He looked tired. He rubbed his eyes. He said the words that would become a fence around our days. Temporary custody to the mother, he said. Visitation to be decided when the child leaves hospital. The husband of the mother. He paused and looked at Rafi, noted. He wrote something. He looked at Omar. You are free to go. But stay away. Let the law breathe. We went home with our hearts in our throats. Omar sat at the table and stared at his hands. Zaid wore a sling for his arm and looked like a wounded bird. Hana made tea and forgot the sugar and then added too much. I moved through the rooms like a woman in a dream. The baby came home to Salma's house 2 days later. We heard his small cry through the thin wall at night. It was like a clock that told us time was still moving even if we were stuck. Then, finally, the thing happened that I call the moment everything broke and nothing could be put back the same way. It was a Sunday again. Maha came to our door, early, her face white. She held Yasin wrapped tight. She said, I cannot stay there. I cannot breathe. Rafi and my uncle are making plans. They want to take Yasin to his father's village and make an event. They want to say he was born early after marriage. They want to lie loud and call it celebration. I cannot. Please, let me sit here for 1 hour. I took her in. I kissed the baby. I told her to lie down. Omar stayed in the kitchen, his face turned away. He was trying to honor the paper and not look at the child he already loved like his own breath. He stood with his back to us and washed a clean cup. Someone banged on our door. Not a knock, a bang like a fist angry with wood. I went to the door. Hamid stood there with Rafi and 2 more men. Hamid's eyes were on fire. He said, Give her back, now, or I will call the police and tell them your son kidnapped the child. You will lie. Again, I said. He stepped into our home without permission. He reached for the baby. Omar moved between them. He was not supposed to be near the child. He knew it. He stood anyway. Wait, he said. Do not shout. Do not touch her. Rafi shouted, My son, and stepped. Omar lifted his arm to block him. In that second, Hamid did something I cannot say without my hands trembling even now. He took his heavy ringed hand and hit Omar across the face with the back of it. The sound was a slap and a thud together. Omar's head turned. He stumbled. He fell against the table. It broke. The baby cried. Maha screamed. Zaid jumped, bad arm and all. The room exploded. Neighbors flooded the hall. Someone called the police. Again. I stood in the middle of my living room and wondered how many times one small room can hold the same scene. The officers came. They saw broken wood and crying and men breathing like bulls. They saw my son with blood on his lip. They saw Hamid with rings and anger. They saw Rafi hugging himself like a brave child. They asked questions. They did not want answers. They took Omar again because the order said he should not be near the baby. Even though the baby was brought to our door, even though he had not moved toward the baby until someone threatened his home, the paper is blind. It does not see intention. It sees lines and names and dates. I walked next to my son down the stairs. I held the wall because my legs did not trust me. He looked at me and smiled that small, tired smile. Allah sees, he said. That is enough. At the station, the same bench, the same men, the same pen with the same squeak, the same heart beating in my ears. They took him through a metal door. It closed with a sound I will hear until the last day I hear anything. The world became very quiet inside me. In that quiet, one sentence kept moving like a fish. I told him to say yes. I told him to say yes. I told him to say yes. That night, I sat on my prayer rug, and I told Allah the whole story, like He had not watched it with His own mercy the whole time. I told Him about the first knock. I told Him about the small carton of dates in the Imam's house. I told Him about the ultrasound and the tiny heart. I told Him about the hospital and the metal tray and the lie that was shouted. I told Him about the alley and the rock and the window. I told Him about the papers and the pen and the man with rings. I told Him, and then I said, "My Lord, I am tired. Give me patience that does not taste like punishment. Give me forgiveness that does not feel like defeat. Write for us a way out." In the morning, my mouth was dry. My eyes hurt. I made tea and spilled some. I cleaned it and did not care. Maha called. Her voice was small. She said, "He hit me last night. He said I should have never gone to your house. He said he will take Yasin and go." My mother cried and told me to be quiet. I do not know where to go. I closed my eyes. "Come," I said. "Come now. We will figure it out." And that was the line. That was the moment I knew this story would not have an easy end. We had passed the gate where you can turn back. We were in the thick forest now. We could only walk forward, trusting what we could not see yet. Maha came with the baby before noon. Her scarf was not tied well. Her hair stuck to her forehead. She held Yasin close like a person holds a precious book in the rain. I opened the door without asking anything. Sometimes the right question is not a question. It is a blanket and a glass of water. I put a thin mattress on the floor in my room. I closed the curtains and made the room dark. Yasin stopped crying. His breath turned into small, fast sighs. Maha lay down and watched his face like a woman who found the last candle in a storm and was afraid it would go out. I sat on the edge of the bed and held her hand. "Hurt?" I asked softly. She looked at me and nodded. "He pushed me into the wall," she whispered. "He said I humiliated him by going to you. He said I belong to his house now and he will show me the rules." My mother begged him to stop. He told her to mind her tongue. My chest felt tight. I wanted to shout. I wanted to call every man I knew and make a circle around this girl and her child. But shouting is a fire that eats the house first. I took a breath. "We will not go back," I said. "Not today. Not until there is safety. We cannot stay here," she said. "The paper says Omar cannot be near us. He will be blamed even if he is not home." "Omar is not here," I said. "But you are right. We need something official. We need a paper that protects you, not just scares us." I called Hannah. She left school early and came with her bag full of markers and a sandwich she forgot to eat. She looked at Maha and the baby and then at me. She put her hand on my shoulder. She spoke with her calm voice. "Mama, we need help from people who know these things," she said. "The hospital social worker gave me a card last week, just in case. Women's legal aid. They can help with a protection order. They can help with a safe place." We went together. I wrapped Yasin in a soft blanket. His small mouth moved in his sleep like he was tasting dreams. We walked fast, but tried to look normal. In our street, pretending is a skill you learn when you are young. At the office, a woman with kind eyes and a clean desk gave us water and tissues. She listened. She did not make faces. She wrote carefully. She said, "You did the right thing by coming." She helped us write a statement. She called the police station and asked for a female officer. She called the hospital for a copy of the notes. She called a judge's clerk. Her hands moved like a person who has held many women's shaking hands and learned where the steps are in the dark. She also called a shelter. She said there would be a room for a few nights. She said it would give us time to arrange a plan. Maha held Yasin close when we walked into the shelter. The building did not look like safety from outside. It looked like any old building with tired paint. Inside, it smelled like soap and rice. A woman brought us a small bag with basics. Another woman showed us a clean bed and a drawer. She said, "No men can enter this floor. We have cameras. We have rules." I slept on a chair that first night with my scarf on. I kept waking and listening to the whisper of air through the small window and the soft sound of Yasin sucking on his tiny fingers. I prayed in my heart most of the night. "Ya Allah," I said, "you alone can make a prison feel like a garden and a palace feel like a prison. Make this small room feel like your shelter. Put angels at the door." In the morning, I went to see Omar. They allowed me 10 minutes. He stood behind the low counter, his hands free this time but his eyes tired. I told him everything, point by point, like a small report. I told him we were safe. I told him Yasin slept like a bird and cried like a trumpet. I told him we would ask for a protection order for Maha and the baby. I told him Hana found the right people. I told him he did not need to worry about us needing money for now. He listened and nodded. He looked at the floor a moment and then back at me. "Mama," he said, "do not let your mercy turn into silence. Speak. Tell the truth. Tell the judge I was in the house because they brought the storm to our door. Tell the truth about Hamid. Do not worry about saving faces. Allah saved us many times before without lies. He will save us again." "Are you angry at me?" I asked. The question escaped before I could catch it. He looked surprised. "At you? No. You are the only person who held us together. You did not bring this trouble. You tried to protect. Maybe we moved too fast at the beginning. Maybe we all did. But Allah writes in lines we cannot read until later." I cried quietly, the way old people cry, with small sounds. He touched the glass with his palm. I pressed my hand to the same spot. It felt like a prayer. The legal aid woman moved fast. In 2 days, Maha had a temporary protection order against Rafi. It said he must stay away from her and the baby. It said he must not call or come near the shelter. It put the law like a fence around her life. The paper did not stop all danger, but it put a name on it. Sometimes giving a name to a danger makes it smaller. Salma called me that same day. Her voice was thin. "Where is my daughter?" she asked. "Safe," I said. "Rafi is furious," she said. "Hamid is angry with me. He says I have turned the family into a joke. Maybe stop listening to men who use the word family like a stick," I said, more sharply than I planned. I took a breath. "Salma, listen. We are past honor games. Your daughter is a mother now. She needs safety, not speeches," she whispered. "I am ashamed." "Then repent to Allah," I said, "and act. Tell the truth to the imam. Tell the truth in front of the judge if you have to. Your silence is not protection. It is poison." That evening, Hana went to the hospital to check on the nurse who wrote the report. She brought a small box of dates and said thank you. Good people are the thin bridges that carry us over deep waters. I wanted to go to each person and put dates in their hands. On the 3rd day, we went to court for the protection order to be made longer. Maha wore a simple abaya. She looked small but stood straight. The judge was the same tired uncle. He looked at the papers. He looked at us. He asked questions in a flat voice. Maha answered without drama. She did not add sugar to the truth. She did not add fire. She said, "He hit me. He threatened to take the baby. I am afraid. Rafi came with a new shirt and an old manner. He rolled his eyes at some points. He kept shaking his head. He said, "She is my wife. This is our marriage. We will fix it at home." The judge looked at him like a wall looks at a fly. Then the judge stamped the paper. "Order extended," he said. "No contact for 3 months. Visitation to be supervised at a center if the mother agrees. Any violation will be an olive hiding. Arrest." Rafi's mouth opened and closed. Hamid muttered something under his breath. Salma came out of the back row as if a rope had pulled her forward. She looked at the judge. Her voice shook. "Your Honor," she said, "I want to say something." The judge sighed. 5 minutes, he said. Salma took a deep breath. "I lied in the hospital," she said. "I said Omar threatened us. He did not. I was afraid. I wanted to push for a divorce. I wanted to sew up a hole with the wrong thread. I am sorry." I asked the court to note my correction. For a second, the room made a sound like silence breaking. The clerk wrote. The judge looked at her in a way I cannot describe. Not with respect, not with hate. Maybe with a tired respect for truth arriving late. He nodded. "Noted," he said. When we left the room, I stood with Salma in the hallway. We did not touch. We did not smile. We stood like 2 trees that grew side by side for years and one day had their branches cut. She whispered, "Forgive me, sister." "I forgive you," I said. "But forgiveness is a door. Trust is a house. I cannot rebuild the house today." Her eyes filled. She nodded. She leaned on the wall. She looked older. Fear ages the face. It makes the skin forget how to be soft. That week, they released Omar with a fine and a warning to stay away from any scene that could be called a violation. He walked out of the station with his small bag and his clean shirt folded under his arm. The sun touched his face like an old friend. He came home and stood in the doorway for a long time, as if greeting the walls. Hana cried quietly and then laughed. Zaid hugged him gently because of his own sore arm. We ate together at the table we repaired. We said Bismillah and thank you for lentils and bread. Omar spoke very little. He asked first about Maha and Yasin. I told him the facts only. I learned to stick to facts. Facts are stronger than stories in times like this. He nodded and breathed. The next morning, he went to the garage. He worked with his hands and let his mind rest. The owner of the garage, an old man with white hair and patience like a mountain, said, "Take your time, son." Omar said, "I need the work, uncle." The old man nodded as if he expected that. Work is a rope that pulls a man back to himself. We could not bring Maha to our home again because of the order. I visited her at the shelter each day. Hana visited in the afternoons when school finished. We took turns holding Yasin so Maha could sleep or wash or just sit and look at the wall without a baby on her chest. Sometimes looking at a wall in silence is also medicine. One afternoon, the legal aid woman came with another woman in a gray scarf. She was a lawyer too. She said, "You can ask for Kula. It is your right. If your husband is harming you and not keeping his duties, Islam does not ask you to stay and swallow harm. Hula is not shame. It is a tool for safety." Maha looked at her hands. She said, "He will never agree." The lawyer nodded. "Then we go to the court," she said. "We show harm. We show the protection order. We show the hospital note. The judge can dissolve the marriage." That night, Maha lay with Yasin asleep on her chest. She whispered to me in the dark, "If I do this, I will be a divorced woman twice. People will count my divorces like coins and hold them up to the light." "Let them count," I said. "Allah counts tears. Allah counts prayers. His count is the only one that matters." She smiled a little in the dark. You always have a sentence ready, Mama. I had to learn, I said. Sentences are like small boats. You throw them into the water and hope one of them carries you to shore. The application for Kula went in. Papers moved, men stamped, women waited. Time stretched and folded. During those weeks, Rafi tried twice to send messages through cousins. He said he would forgive her if she came back. He said he would cancel everything if she signed that Omar was the problem. We did not answer. Silence can be stronger than 1,000 words. Hamid came to our building one late afternoon. He shouted in the street so people would hear. He said he would call the police on us for stealing his niece. He used big words for a small thought. Zaid stood in the window and watched me, his eyes asking for permission to be a man. I shook my head. We called the station instead. They sent a patrol. The officer spoke to Hamid with a bored voice. Hamid left with his ring still heavy on his hand, but his voice small. Salma came to the shelter one morning. She asked to see the baby. Maha looked at me. I looked at the staff. They said it was okay in the common room. Salma held Yasin and cried like water coming out of a broken pipe. She kissed his head so many times he made a small, annoyed sound. She said to Maha, "I will stand with you. I will tell anyone who asks that I was wrong. We will start again. We will cook soup and let it cool and eat slowly." Maha looked at her mother in a long way, as if returning from a far place to a home that had been painted a different color. "I love you," she said. "I will always love you. But I cannot come back to your house while Rafi is around and your brother thinks he rules everyone. I need my own small place. I need quiet." Salma nodded. "I will help you find it," she said. "Even if your aunts talk, even if your uncles stop greeting me, I will carry this. It is mine." Sometimes Allah softens a heart in 1 hour that 10 years could not. I believe he softened Salma that morning. I watched it with my eyes. I felt it in the air. Regret is not useful unless it moves the feet. 2 months later, the court dissolved Maha's marriage to Rafi. The judge listed the harm. He listed the order. He wrote the words that cut the rope. Rafi did not come that day. He sent his cousin, who shrugged and rolled his eyes. The cousin left before the paper dried. We helped Mahal find a small room near the school where Hannah worked. It had one window that looked at a courtyard where old women sat in the afternoon and shell peas into metal bowls. The rent was not cheap. Nothing is cheap now. But Omar insisted to help. He left money in an envelope with no name. He asked me to deliver it like a secret. "Are you sure?" I asked him. "It is not charity," he said. "It is my debt for the days when I was her husband and I could not protect her. It is my thank you to a child who taught me patience before he could crawl." He started saving again. He stopped going out with friends who wanted to talk about the case like it was a movie. He worked, he prayed. He sat sometimes on the roof with a small cup of tea and watched the sky change colors. One day, the old man at the garage called him to the back and closed the door. He put a small box on the table. Inside were keys. "I am tired," the old man said. "I want to sleep more and argue with my wife about the television. I will give you a good price for the garage. Pay me slowly. Pay me with honesty. It will be yours." Omar's eyes filled. He held the keys like they were made of something more than metal. He came home that night and put them on the table. He did not speak. He just looked at me. I understood. Sometimes a key can sound like healing when it clicks. We made dua together that night, out loud. We asked Allah to bless work that is honest and hands that do no harm. We asked him to forgive our mistakes and feed us with halal and keep our tongues soft when our hearts are hard. Hannah started a small evening class at the mosque for girls who needed extra help with reading. She brought Yasin sometimes. He sat in a car seat and looked around with big eyes. The girls would finish their letters and then fight over who would wave at him first. He became a small light in many days. Zaid stopped staying out late. He went back to classes for a mechanic's certificate. He said he wanted to work with Omar one day in the new garage. He said he wanted to be a man who did not use his hands for anger. He started going to Fajr at the mosque with an old neighbor. The old neighbor gave him dates and small stories about patience. I watched my youngest stand up a little taller and lower his voice when he was upset. Growth is quiet sometimes. It does not post itself on walls. It happens in small rooms with a prayer mat on the floor. The neighborhood changed slowly. The whispers got tired. New drama came for people to chew on. The woman across the street had her own trouble and gave everyone something else to talk about. That is how it goes. We think our pain is the center of the sky. It is not. The sky stretches over all of us. It holds many storms at once. Once, I met Rafi's mother in the market. She was buying scarves from a lady who always overcharges. She saw me and froze like a cat caught on a fence. Then she looked down and touched the scarves in a fast way. I walked to her. I said salam. She answered, but her voice was small. "You have a son," I said. "I have a son. We both made mistakes. We both will answer for what we do after the mistake. Tell your boy to fix himself. Tell him to fear Allah. Tell him to leave us alone." She started crying, holding the blue scarf. "He is my only boy," she said. "I spoiled him. I told him he could take, and I would still call him a good man. I was wrong. I am paying for it now." I touched her arm. "We all pay for our mistakes," I said. "But Allah is generous. He can make payment small if we turn to Him. Teach him to turn. That is all." We parted with a quiet salam. I went home with tomatoes and a strange mix of sadness and relief in my chest. I thought of all the mothers in the world who pray for their sons and sometimes pray against their own teaching without knowing. Months passed. Yasin learned to hold his head. He learned to smile with his whole face. He laughed once so loud that the old man downstairs knocked on his ceiling with a stick and then laughed too. It was a day of laughing. Maha came to our house now that the order did not wrap Omar anymore. She would call first. Omar would leave if they came. He did not want to make it awkward. He kept a clean boundary. Once, he returned early and heard Yasin laugh in the hallway. He stopped and stood behind the door like a thief. He pressed his head against the wood and closed his eyes. He whispered, "Ya Rab." And then he went back down the stairs and walked around the block until the laughter moved through his chest without breaking it. Salma slowly found her place again as a mother, not a manager of other people's eyes. She would bring small dishes to Maha's new room. She would take Yasin for an hour and bring him back with a clean shirt and a story about how he tried to taste the prayer beads. Sometimes she and I would meet in the mosque courtyard after Asr. We would sit side by side, not too close, not too far. We would speak about food first, about prices, about the weather. Then we would speak about our children. Then we would speak about our Lord. "Do you think He forgave me for the lie?" she asked once. "If you asked with a true heart and changed your ways, yes," I said. "He is more merciful than we can understand. He forgives like the sea swallows drops of rain. But trust with people is a different thing. It needs time. It needs small actions. It needs quiet truth," repeated. She nodded. "I will wait," she said. I felt my own shoulders loosen. Holding anger is like holding a bowl of hot soup without a cloth. You think you can handle it for a while, but your hands burn and your arms shake. Better to put it down on a table and blow and let it cool. That is what I did with my anger. I put it down I let the wind of prayer cool it. One evening, Omar came home late and put a small bag on the table. I opened it. Inside was a used sign that said, Omar's Honest Auto. It was not new. The edges were scratched, the letters were a little crooked. It made me smile. Honest, I said, touching the word. You chose the right thing to be proud of. I chose the only thing that matters now, he said. If people will not trust my name in their stories, maybe they will trust it on their receipts. He took a small loan from a cousin and paid the old man a little each month. He painted the walls of the garage fresh white. He put water for customers in a clean jug. He wrote the prices on a board so no one would have to guess. He kept his head down and his hands busy. People started to come. Work heals. I started to sleep again. Not every night. Not the deep sleep of a girl tired from play, but the steady sleep of a woman who has put some of her burdens back into Allah's hands and stopped grabbing them again when He turns to help someone else. One Friday, after Jumu'ah, the Imam spoke about honor. He said, honor is not in hiding sins with more sins. He said, honor is in truth, in patience, in returning rights. He said, a man's honor is in how he treats the weak. He said, a woman's honor is not in what her neighbors think, but in how she stands with Allah. He did not say our names. He did not need to. Many heads nodded. Many hearts felt something heavy and real that day. After the prayer, an old neighbor came to me. She said, we judged you. I judged you. I was wrong. I am sorry. I put my hand on her arm and smiled. We are all students, I said. We learn very late sometimes, but we still learn. I went home and made tea with cardamom. The smell filled the kitchen. The sunlight came through the window like a quiet mercy. I sat on the floor with my prayer beads. I counted. I did not count sins. I counted blessings. I counted the lessons that hurt and the lessons that healed. They were sometimes the same lesson. I thought of my husband Yusuf. I looked at his photo and told him the news as if he could attend through memory. Your boy is standing again, I said. He has keys in his pocket. Your daughter is softer. Your youngest is learning how to be strong without shouting. And me? I am here. I am older now, but my heart is less crowded. I still pass the police station sometimes. The metal door still closes with that same small thunder. When it happens, I whisper a prayer for whoever is inside and for the mother holding her scarf in the hall. I want to sit her down and pour her tea and tell her, you will live, you will breathe, you will laugh again one day when a child makes a bubble with his spit and thinks he invented the moon. We did not win in a way people clap for. There was no bright ribbon to cut. No big speech in a hall. Our victory looked like a baby's full belly, like a bruise fading, like a paper stamped with protection, like a son turning a wrench in a clean garage and not shaking when someone says Rafi's name. I learned that revenge burns fast and leaves a smell that stays. Mercy burns slow and warms the room. I learned that you can be right and still be harsh, and that harshness turns truth into something people do not want to eat. I learned that lying to protect honor is like putting perfume on a wound. It smells nice for a moment, then it rots. Sometimes I sit by the window at Asr time. The light is soft, the color of honey. Yasin's laugh rises from the courtyard like a bird. Maha sits with her back against the wall, eyes half closed, smiling without trying. Hana comes home with ink on her fingers. Zayed shouts from the street that tomatoes are too expensive, again. Omar's footsteps climb the stairs, slow and steady, a man carrying work and leaving what he cannot carry to Allah. I hold my beads. I remember that day in the Imam's sitting room with the plate of dates and the fan that clicked. I remember the hospital and the metal tray. I remember the bench at the station with paint coming off. I remember the broken window, and the rock, and the night we slept in the living room like travelers. I carry these memories like stones in my pocket. They weigh me down sometimes, yes. But they also keep me from floating away when life is kind and I think I do not need Allah. If you ask me now, do you regret telling Omar to say yes? I will tell you this. I regret the speed. I regret the silence. I do not regret the mercy. I would still try to protect a girl from shame, but next time, I would protect her with truth. I would say, let us go to the Imam and speak. Let us say what happened. Let us be brave with Allah and small with people. That is my lesson. That is my sadaqah to you, my listener. Take it if it helps you. Sometimes, late at night, I make tahajjud. I whisper the names of everyone in this story one by one. Omar, protect him. Hannah, soften her heart more. Zaid, guide him. Maha, heal her. Yasin, make him a light. Salma, forgive her. Rafi, change him. Hamid, take the rings off his hands and his heart first. And I whisper my own name last, like a child asking for one more sweet. Sumaya, Ya Rab, keep her patient and honest until the last breath. Maybe Allah wanted me to lose the picture I had in my head of how my son's life should look, so I could see the one he was painting all along. Maybe he wanted me to see that peace does not come when people love us more, but when we love him more. Maybe he wanted me to lose everything I was holding too tight, so I could finally hold my hands open and feel his mercy fall into them like rain. If you are holding a lie right now because you think it is better than the truth, listen to an old woman. The truth will hurt, but it will not rot. It will break your heart, but then it will let Allah in to heal it. The lie will break your house. The truth will build you again, slower and stronger. I am not a saint. I am a mother who made mistakes and learned late. But I will tell you this, and then I will leave you to your tea and your own prayers. Allah does not waste the tears of a person who turns to Him. He collects them. He makes gardens from them. He turned my tears into a key for my son, a small home for a young mother, a soft laugh from a baby who did not ask to be born into a storm. He can do that for you too. If this story touched you, please follow Voices of Fatima, like the video, and share it with someone who needs courage to tell the truth. In your heart, what is honor? Would you have told your son to say yes, or would you have waited? If you were in Salma's place, what would you do differently now? I'm listening in the comments. May Allah guide us all to patience, honesty, and gentle strength.